My goal today, my sole goal, is to throw a virtual live grenade into this discussion. What I want to address is what is soon going to become the 900-pound gorilla in the world of content distribution. The head of business development at entertainment industry powerhouse Creative Artists has said, and he said it to me, but this was in public, immersive virtual reality is a tsunami coming. It will be as transformative as the PC, the internet, and mobile. You know, a lot of times the critics and the political pundits like to criticize our generals at the Pentagon and the Defense Department for planning to fight the last war, okay? And the truth is, that same thing can be said of some of us that are in the business of content creation and the distribution of that content. But I believe that our war in the world of content distribution will be different, and the skirmishes are already happening on all fronts. It started well over a decade ago in the newspaper and magazine business with the consolidation as consumers' reading habits changed. Today, it is engulfing the satellite, cable, and internet delivery companies as they grapple with how to rationalize their current profitable cash flow business model with the relevance of quality content, and more importantly, how their subscribers access that content, and probably more important to them, how they're going to pay for it. But this isn't an issue just for newspapers, magazines, and cable providers. This dilemma is permeating the entire industry that exists to profit from the delivery of content to consumers. More simply put, and Raya addressed this, how do they differentiate their offerings from that of their customers? The big news in the category these days is the proposed acquisition of Time Warner by AT&T. And this is just a perfect example of the kind of vertical integration that demonstrates the perceived need by our distributors to control their content and provide the content necessary to retain their subscriber base. But it's just not limited to cable and satellite providers. Several years ago, Verizon bought AOL. They didn't buy it for that dwindling subscriber base that AOL had. They bought it for their fast-growing emerging content business. Just last year, Sprint in Kansas City paid a whole lot of money to buy a third of music streaming company Tidal. And they did that to gain preferred access to the music from Jay-Z, Rihanna, Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and Madonna. And in December, a company that I bet 99% of you here have never heard of, Dolly and Wanda, they're the largest operator of theater screens in the entire world. Here in the US, they own Kansas City-based AMC. Anybody know that? Okay, in December, they paid $3.5 billion to buy Legendary Pictures, the prolific producer of such mega blockbusters as the Black Knight series, Batman, Superman stuff, The 300, Jurassic World, and I'm sure all of our favorite, The Hangover series. I actually was a role model in the Hangover series when I was here in college. I'm going to digress just quickly. I was, last year I was in the office of the associate dean, and I said to her, she was commenting on my stellar career, and I said, you know, this is the first time I've been in this office where the term probation didn't come up. So, but these are just a few of the examples. You know, last week I was up in the Bay Area, and I was surprised to see Apple actively and publicly soliciting new entertainment content. I have no idea for what, obviously for somewhere in their ecosystem, but it shows the importance of content. But in my mind, this AT&T deal, and in fact, all of these deals are really old news. Viewers of Google's YouTube right now are viewing more than 1 billion hours of video a day, and that threatens to eclipse US television viewership. The trend is fueled by the viewer who wants to see what they want. Raya pointed this out, when they want it, and how they want it. And when you combine that with YouTube's aggressive embrace of artificial intelligence that helps drive those viewers and help them find that content that they're interested in, this is a significant trend. I believe, and I've been quoted as saying this, so therefore it must be true. I believe when you integrate this trend, integrated with immersive technology, it's going to usher in the fourth industrial revolution. You heard it here first, okay? It will fundamentally change the way we live, we work, and we interact with each other. And it's going to replace many of the technology tools that we use today. See everybody here with a laptop. That's going to be old news pretty soon. Raya will report on it. And it's going to revolutionize media distribution. My friend Thomas Tull, who is the founder of Legendary Pictures, and is a very smart investor and expert in the world of technology, has said, immersive, virtual, and augmented reality is not just about entertainment or playing video games. This is a different way of interacting with the world. It is a new generation of computers. And this event that he's talking about is going to be characterized by a fusion of technologies that are going to blur the lines between the physical, the digital, and the biological spheres. Goldman Sachs, in a recent industry report, predicted that the hardware sales for AR and VR will outpace the sales of televisions by 2025, generating over $110 billion annually. And this is going to happen if the world of virtual reality follows an accelerated uptake that is going to be accelerated by advances in battery life and cellular technology. And I can tell you, living down in San Diego with all my friends at Qualcomm, the introduction of 5G is going to put afterburners on the ass of this program. Okay. By eventually, this trend, eventually you'll be able to ditch the connectivity, the wires, and the high-powered computers that you need to power these VR headsets today. The devices are going to become truly mobile. And when you integrate augmented and virtual reality software with enterprise management, think content management systems, and predictive analytics, think artificial intelligence. The total market size of that segment alone is going to reach over $3 trillion annually. Annually. You know, that fourth industrial revolution I was talking about, here it comes. It's coming down the track. Unfortunately for a lot of people, this is a hip room, okay? You know, a lot of college students, graduate students. So you guys probably get the world of virtual reality. But a lot of people out there throw this term around, oh, virtual reality, yeah, I know what it is, okay? There's a lot of components in the world of virtual reality. There are three major components that I'm just going to briefly touch on. And that is, the first is virtual reality. And it's just a single component in this category. In its most basic form, it replaces the real world with a computer-generated three-dimensional environment that you can interact with. Think video games. But in my mind, virtual reality will, in the grand scheme of things, become a supporting act for augmented reality. And augmented reality is a separate technology. It allows you to superimpose a computer-generated object on the user's real view of the world, creating an enhanced composite world. And this is what's going to drive the adoption of VR and AR, because it's going to be adopted in the enterprise world. It's going to make major revolutionary advances in training, which I can talk about ad nauseum, and in the world of MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul. And I can talk about that ad nauseum too. The more common technology that most of us are going to be exposed to, faster, quicker, cheaper, it's going to be on our cell phone. And it's the 360-degree viewpoint that Raya alluded to. The big adoption of that's going to be in travel and tourism, where on our cell phone we'll be able to take a tour of the hotel room or the cruise cabin or the attraction before we book. And it's going to permeate and revolutionize travel, because you'll be able to see before you go. I'm a director of a company called Tsunami AR VR, and we are the leading supplier of augmented and virtual reality software, service capabilities, and business solutions to the Fortune 500 company. According to Kevin Kelly in his book, The Inevitable, and if you have not read it, I would suggest you get a copy. It's a fascinating read. But he says that presence is what sells VR. All the historical trends in cinema technology bend toward realism, to sound, to color, to 3D, to faster and smoother frame rates. And those trends are being accelerated by virtual reality. Week by week, the resolution jumps, increases, the frame rate jumps, the contrast deepens, and the color space widens. High fidelity sound sharpens. And all this is happening faster in VR than it can or will happen on the big screen. Most of us in advertising, entertainment, or gaming have likely tested the immersive virtual reality experience on Microsoft's HoloLens or Oculus by Facebook, or the Sony or Samsung devices. And if you've tried Pokemon, you've experienced augmented reality in its most basic form. But the real technology advances are coming from companies like Magic Leap, a company down in Florida. Their end product is currently delivered through a head-mounted display, but the final product in their evolution is going to be, well, it'll fit in a pair of wearable devices or glasses. It's not going to be some goofy device like that Google glasses, but something that you can fit into your Ralph Lauren or Gucci specs. And this development is going to usher in a new computing dimension and create the next generational interface, kind of a contextual computer. So when you're wearing this device, it's going to project the image right onto your retina through a revolutionary optic system that's going to be built into a semi-transparent glass, and it's going to replicate the way we view the world. Here's just a little touch of some of their end product. I just happen to like this one, that's why I'm showing it. Cool, huh? Gee whiz stuff. Every day when I go to work, I say, wow, am I lucky? I learn something every day. Now, while you're wearing this device, it's going to constantly gather data. It's going to scan the room for obstacles so you don't run into them. It's going to track your eye and hand movement, and it's going to listen for voices. In the industry, we call this SLAM. Cool. Simultaneous localization and mapping, okay? And this is going to be the next quantum leap forward from what Google is already doing with their artificial intelligence with YouTube. And this disruptive technology is going to impact every business that relies on screens and computers. You know, according to David Ewalt in Fortune magazine, it could kill the $120 billion market for flat panel displays and shake the $1 billion global electronics business to its core. He says you're going to be able to throw out your PC, your laptop, and your mobile phone because the computing power you're going to need is going to be in your glasses. And they can make the display appear anywhere at any size you want. You know, you can throw out your MapQuest and your Google Map because in the future, you're just going to be able to look through your windshield, or your car, your autonomous car will look through the windshield, and you'll just follow a yellow line to your destination. You know, you can put that couch you're thinking about buying in your living room and look at it from every angle, under every lighting condition before you buy it. You'll even be able to repair your home appliances because a program will help you do it, and it will tell you, hey, don't put the blue plug into the yellow socket. That's not a good idea. Heather Bellini, who's the most respected analyst in the entire category from Goldman Sachs for technology, calls virtual and augmented reality the next generation of computing platform. What she's describing is a disruptive technology that just doesn't do new things, but it changes the way we're going to do everything else. 10 years ago, nobody had a smartphone. Today, it's an integral part of your life. When I travel, unless I'm making a presentation and I need my laptop or I'm working on a complex project, the laptop stays at home and I go with my iPhone. So I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going over about 2 minutes. But she sees both AR and VR paving the way for another device where the controls are going to be driven by your hand and head movement. Now, in spite of all that I've said about the potential of immersive reality, you've got to remember that I started my career as a copywriter out of the journalism school here. And from my perspective, the success of digital media will always be built on a solid foundation of quality content. Certainly, advances in technology have made it easier for us to communicate, collaborate, and search out relevant data that's important to us. But we've got to remember, in its most simplistic form, content is just storytelling. And it's the right story for the right message. Whether it's an ad, a blog, a magazine article, a song, a sitcom, a novel, or a screenplay. To deliver the desired results, the story's got to convey a message that inspires action or emotion. And present the story in the most favorable and memorable way. It's like Raya said, it's about the right message for the media. And the challenge for the content creator is to deliver your story in a form that's appropriate for this new evolving host media. And that's our collective challenge. When I got my first job in advertising out of here, you'll find this hard to believe, but many agencies, this was in the Ice Age, but many of the agencies where I was working still had a television department because it was separate from newspaper, magazine, and radio advertising. It was something over here, different. In fact, some of them even created their own soap operas so they would have a platform to advertise their soap. The same thing happened back in the 90s when the big, large multinational agencies failed to recognize the potential of advertising on the internet, okay? At the time, they abdicated to these small boutique shops that were popping up everywhere. At the time, I was working for Ogilvy and Mather, a big intergalactic behemoth. And we didn't recognize this trend, even though we were the agency of record for Microsoft. Our big agency, Tunnel Vision, was completely focused on how you sell this software through big box stores and use channel marketing. This time, we are very lucky. We see the future coming, at least I think I see the future coming. And these new technologies are going to allow the viewer to decide what they want to see, when they want to see it, and in what format they prefer. The days of sitting down in the family room and saying, let's see what's on TV, long gone. So it's up to the creators of content, us, to be ready to embrace this new world.
Archie, thank you very much.